when she rocked, it went nuclear.
Welcome to Billy Joel Completely Retold, the live stream, where it's always 9 o'clock on a Saturday. Before I get into today's show, which you can see is titled MSG Postponed, I just wanted to do a quick plug for this book, Mark Rivera's Sideman. It came out a few weeks ago. I had time to read it. I sat down and read it in like a day and a half. Full of wonderful stories behind the scenes in the business. I was surprised. You know, we're a Billy Joel group, but Billy isn't really even mentioned until about page 150. So it's just a great life story, and I think you'll all really enjoy it. If you want to stick around to the end of the show, find out how you can win your own free copy. All right, we're going to be giving away a few copies of Mark's book at the end of the show today. Well, I figured I'd do a show today since it's April 22nd. There was supposed to be a show at Madison Square Garden tonight, and unfortunately, because of some sports ball event, it got postponed. So I figured we need to do something to give you guys your Billy's fix for today. So I pulled a few strings, called a couple people, and I got a special guest that wanted to come on the show and talk to us. So, for our first time ever, can you please welcome to our group, Mr. Mark Rivera. Say hi, Mark.
Hey, Mike, how are you doing, man?
Good. So, I've been talking with people about your book. It's a really great read.
Thank you.
I could tell from the very beginning, it's a direct result of COVID happening. It's just tell us a little bit about why you decided to write the book now.
Well, first of all, it was how I spent my COVID vacation, which is the underpin. But I've been doing some work and doing some speaking engagements. And the woman that I work with said, you know, you do really well if you had a book. And I'm like, isn't that what people do just before they leave stage and as they're done with their career? And she said, no, in fact, it's the last thing because it becomes more pertinent that you have a book. So she talked me into doing the book. And it turns out Mike Ponce, the writer, the co-writer, he and I would speak maybe twice a week for a couple of hours. And it got to a point where it became my therapy session because I was reflecting. It's true. It was very cathartic to do something like this because all the stuff that I've done over the years, it's just been this flow that I don't think about. But then when I think the opening chapter is up in the air. And it says how musicians aren't really good at looking back. Yeah. So this is me looking back on, well, it's 40 years with Billy, but since I played my first gig at a bowling alley, it'll be like it's got to be 50. It's got to be 57 years. I was 13, so it gives you an idea how old I really am. So. But
awesome.
Every time I get into something, I find myself going deeper and deeper. And the question just became easier to answer. Some personal questions became hard to answer, but I think the more vulnerable we are as human beings, the more we share so much with other people. I have the greatest gig. Don't get me wrong, but it also came with a lot of times that I had to leave my wife and our sons. And yep. I think that's the thing that I'm most proud of with the book. I mean, aside from I played with this one, I did that, which is all great, but it's me being honest about there's a lot that goes on with this business, and I'm just proud that I'm still my wife and I are still together. It'll be 40 years in May, so that's that's a pretty big deal, right? So
yeah. Well, I could see through the whole book. It's just there was one of the main themes was it's not easy work. I could totally tell, and like you said, missing family events. If I remember right, on the Yankee Stadium show, they even said it was Mara's birthday. Your son's
no, it was actually
birthday.
Dario's birthday. He's
Dario. Okay.
Dario. Yeah. And it was his. It was in 80. I'm trying to think of the year. Was it 87?
The concert was 90.
No, 90. So he was 6. Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
So, but yeah, just through the whole book, I could see that, okay, it wasn't just, hey, Billy said I could play with them, and it's gone from there, and all these famous people contact me. So
yeah, right.
Mike,
if it was that easy, I'd have just signed up earlier, you know.
Well, and you'd mentioned your first gig. Was that a bowling alley? There was a story in the book about that.
Yeah, at a bowling alley in Brooklyn. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, in Sunset Park, Brooklyn. and the bowling alley was the name of it, and it still exists. It's called Melody Lanes. Melody
Oh,
Lanes on
jeez.
39th Street. Yeah, isn't that crazy? We packed up one of the guy's dad's car, and we drove 4 blocks. It's just crazy to see. There's a photo. There's a bunch of photographs that I'm very pleased that they took, and there's me with my guitar and the saxophone, and my cousin Vinny, who's like through the whole thread of the book, starting out with him, and it's just to me, it's just opening up and feeling really good about it. I'm going to take these off because I could actually see you. Is that
Okay,
okay?
there you go.
Hey,
Yeah.
I went from Clark Kent to Superman. So,
Hey, it's Mark. Funny. Well,
so
then, going along the theme with that it's not all been easy work. There was a kind of a whole section of the book where you were talking about you were just living at the record plant, which is a
oh
recording
yeah.
studio, and just as the janitor, and just kind of worked your way in.
Yeah, well, I was in a band already. The band that backed John Lennon in 1975 was called Bomf. And while I was there, driving back and forth to Brooklyn, just got to be a bit much. So I ended up living there. And Roy Sakala said, "Well, you could stay there." And he said, "Why don't you do something while you're here?" So I ended up cleaning up trash. And hey, we do what we had to do. I was, another section of the book says that I was cutting trees with my neighbor, and then I got a Series 6 to sell life insurance. It's not all. It ain't all fun and games, but
Yeah, especially
but
when it's
again,
like only once a month now. It's not
well,
good.
that there's nothing. This is the greatest gig anyone could ever wish for. In fact, again, I'm sorry we couldn't be there tonight. Um, but the Rangers, the New York Rangers, are playing great hockey, so who
Yeah.
knows?
That was another thing. One of the stories that you mentioned in the book that I kind of connected with was you talked about Madison Square Garden when it's full versus when it's empty, and just how the energy is so different. Myrna took me on a tour when I was there a few years ago, and I got to go into Madison Square Garden when it was completely empty, and it felt so different from when it's
Well,
full of all that energy.
Well, the difference, the main difference from my perspective is the sound, the how it makes you feel because it's like anything. You're in a room and there's no one in it, so the reflections are different and the sound is different. But I have to give props. Our sound and light guys, Brian Ruggles, is the greatest pair of ears in the business, as well as Steve Cohen. They're the two best in the business, and I've worked with them. Brian, Steve, and myself did Simon and Garfunkel together. Brian and I did Foreigner. Steve and I did Hall and Oates together. So these are the greatest at what they do. But you get into this garden and it's empty. First of all, it's just this big room, and you're looking around,
Feels almost like
and
a waste of space. Yeah.
it's like, what are we doing here? And then, as I mentioned, we're on the side of the stage, and Mike Del Giudice and I will be like sitting, and because we hug each other, give each other some love. We all do, and it's getting to be that sound, and all of a sudden the natural comes on, and you know what's coming next, and
Yes.
the levels of insanity or the levels of intensity just keep rising and rising. That while we're waiting to get on stage, I mean, what time is it now? But noon, crack of noon. Like, I'm not even sure what time it
Where
is,
you
but
guys are, yeah, a little
yeah, right.
afternoon.
Yeah, so the point is, I'd be on my way into the city right now, getting ready for a sound check, and every part of the day just keeps building up until we're on the side of the stage. The natural comes on, and the lights go down, and then there's that one level of people are freaking out. Now we're up on stage, and it's
The
getting
people
louder
who
and louder.
know.
The people in the know exactly. But at one point, then all of a sudden, Steve Cohen will hit Billy with the light, depending upon what song we're starting, and the place just explodes. And friends of mine once in a while say, "Well, does that get to be like matter of fact and you get used to it?" I said, "Dude, if you're on the side of the stage and you don't get that buzz, that adrenaline, you got to check your pulse because you ain't with it anymore. It's the greatest rush in the world, and
Oh.
it's like I'm blessed to play these great songs. Tony Bennett calls Billy Joel the walking American songbook, which is like
Yeah.
such amazing praise. And the catalog is insane. Playing with the quintessential New Yorker, in my opinion, playing at what is the greatest venue in the world to play. As a kid, I'd go to the Garden to see shows, or I'd go to whatever event it might be, and it was always like, we're going to someday I'll play the Garden. So now, like Sunday
Yeah.
once a month, I play the Garden. So it's pretty crazy,
Well,
Mike,
that's
to think of it.
well, that's like Billy's told the story. You know, people ask him, how do you psych yourself up to go on stage at Madison Square Garden?" And he's like, "You don't have to do anything. The crowd does
There's,
it for you."
as long as you have a pulse, you'll be just fine. Yeah, the crowd is it. The crowd is everything.
Oh,
I mean, the songs are great. Obviously, the band is fantastic. But I did an interview for Spin, and they said, "What are the three things that you need?" And I said, first of all, I need my instruments, my Yamaha instruments that I love. I said, I need the crowd. I need the crowd because that's what I play to. And I need to be grateful. I need my gratitude because while you're up there, you can get all behind yourself and all into like, oh, I got this. No, you don't have this. You're blessed to have the opportunity to do this and to be a part of it and to get the connection to the crowd. That gratitude to me is what my parents taught me. And in fact, in the book, there's a lot about my parents. And
yep.
you never, hopefully, I'll never forget where I came from. And I try to instill that in our boys. And gratitude. Gratitude is pretty much
Yeah.
everything.
I could tell, you know, with COVID, everybody who's a musician really kind of got thrown to the side there for a while. So it's neat to see you guys coming back and with so much strength and just love for it. So
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
one of the other themes through the book then was you kept saying it over and over was what was it? Getting in the vibe.
The
What,
vibe. Yeah.
tell
Well,
me
the
what you
vibe.
mean by getting in the vibe.
Well, the vibe is everything. It's your connection to things. Two people in particular, one friend of mine, Clint Gannon, drummer, I had done maybe a handful of wedding dates or club dates in between gigs. And the first time I met Clint is a wonderful drummer. And from the first moment, he said, "You're the IV man." I said, "IV?" Because you have an infectious vibe. I'm like, wow, I didn't think of that. But that stems back to Mutt Lang, who introduced me to Foreigner through the band Tycoon that I was in. And he'd always say, it's one thing to have the notes right, and it's another thing to have a certain element of your proficiency, let's say on the instrument or in your voice. But it's a whole other level when your vibe or your enthusiasm is there, because that the word enthusiasm, part of the word, it's from the Greek entheos, which means with God, which to me, if you're doing something on that level, you got the vibe, and that vibe just lifts. I mean, I got a really beautiful connection from LinkedIn. This guy wrote a review on the book, and he said that smile, and I finished playing a sax solo or doing anything on stage, and I'm like, I'm still like a kid in a candy shop. This is
Yeah.
this is amazing. It's my 41st year with Billy, and there isn't a moment that I'm not just looking around saying, I'm the luckiest guy. I'm the luckiest guy on this planet. So,
Yeah, that's awesome. There was also there was a story in there where you were talking about the free champagne bottles you got while you were
oh
going.
yes, so the I thought they were free while we were out with Foreigner on the Foreigner 4 tour. Again, this is the first time I was in a tour of that magnitude. Uh, the band Tycoon, we had like two semi hits. We opened up for I think Heart and the Little River Band. So we played, yeah, yeah, kids, you're okay. But now all of a sudden, I'm in Foreigner, and we're playing 40, 60, 80,000 seats. This massive, and we'd be in Europe throughout this beautiful, beautiful tour, and we're staying at like five-star hotels, and there's a mini bar, and I'm looking at the mini bar. I open the mini bar. It's like, hey, this is great. We're getting ready to get
No.
we're getting ready to go on a first class flight. So I'm going to take this bottle of champagne with me. Hey, it's free. So I thought. And by the end of the tour, instead of getting a nice big $10,000 bonus, it was like five. And I'm like, what happened? He goes, those bottles of champagne were not free. Somebody said, but you definitely learn sometimes
Well,
the
it's like
hard way. But
my kids did the same mistake. Instead of champagnes, it was the candy bars and stuff they found in the fridge when we were
well,
staying at a hotel.
Well, my son Murray, our son Moreo, at one point to talk about because Dario came out in I think '89. He came out with Hall and Oates, But then fast forward in '95, I took both of the boys out on the first Ringo tour, and we fly into I think St. Louis, and now Moreo, let's see, '95, so he was like 8 years old. I go to the bathroom and I come out. He's plopped on his king size bed with a remote control in his hand, and he's eating M&Ms and M&Ms, potato chips, and having a soda. He said, "Dad, this is hotel living." And I said, "Yeah, that hotel living just cost me $40." So
Oh, that's hilarious. One of the other stories I was reading about in your book was your John Lord stories. That was kind of a come full circle, which I thought that was so neat. You want to tell a little bit about that?
well, first of all, John Lord to me is or was the greatest rock and roll B3 player of all time. Billy loved him. Our favorites, myself and Billy, we loved the band Traffic. We love the Rascals because Felix has that B3. But I have to say that John Lord, the solo on the song Hush, was just hands down the greatest rock and roll organ solo, in my humble opinion. So, anyway, when I was a kid, I went to see Creedence Clearwater Revival at the Fillmore East, and Deep Purple was the opening act. So between acts, at the Fillmore, you'd sit and you get the crappy seats, and you'd look down and see like there might be a row empty. So I ran down and sat in like the 18th row, like off the center to be a little less conspicuous. And while I'm sitting there, I'm watching the gig. This guy sits next to me, guy with this big mustache and Jesus Christ looking hair. And I said, "John Lord." I'm like freaking out. John Lord is literally sitting next to me. So I finally get up the nerve to say, "Mr. Lord," and I'm bumbling. I said, "You were amazing. Your solo on Hush and this," and I'm going on. He goes, "Thank you, son. Thank you very much." He goes, it was kind of like, now it's time to watch the band. The next thing I know, we're watching, and I'm enthralled, and he's gone. So fast forward to, I think it was 2007, could it have been? It was a while ago. I don't remember the exact date, but I get called. Jim Capaldi, the founder, one of the founding members of Traffic, who was my biggest influence, outside of the Beatles and Hendrix. I'm sorry, I had to preface that. But
The
Traffic,
trifecta.
the trifecta. Yeah, Traffic was massive in my world. And Jim Capaldi passed away, and his wife Anina called me, said, "Would you be the musical director for this celebration?" I'm like,
Oh,
"Absolutely." It was Joe Walsh, Pete Townsend, Stevie Winwood, Bill Wyman. The list goes on and on and on. And as it turns out, John Lord came and was going to sit in on a song or two. Now I'm like, this is insane. So John Lord does his thing. We play a couple of songs, and I'm singing all the songs because the principals, let's say, like the guys who were going to sing the songs, I can't remember who else was there. Winwood wasn't there, so I was singing the Traffic songs, and this band wasn't there, so I'd sing all the different songs. And at the end of the night, I asked John, I said, "Excuse me, John, would you mind? Would you just what's the word I'm looking for? Would you indulge me? Excuse me. Would you put up with me?" I said, "Could we play Hush?" And the whole band was like, "Yeah, can we do Hush?" To hear John play an organ solo,
yeah.
I get to sing Hush, and John Lord is playing organ. So now the whole band's freaking out. It's great, great time, and we're all just saying thank you so much. And just as he's about to leave, I said, "John, I have a quick story for you." He goes, "Yeah, what's that, mate?" I said, "Do you remember years ago you did a gig at the Fillmore East Open? Deep Purple opened up for Creedence Clearwater Revival." I just said that much, and he turned to me, and goes, You were that kid." I said, "Yeah," and he gave me this massive hug, and it's the kind of thing where your life is like a movie,
Yep.
and to think that. All I said was, "You opened up for Creedence Clearwater," and he went right to it. He goes,
He was right at the front of his
You were
head.
that kid," and but it was so wonderful to, first of all, forget that I made an impression. To the fact that now, she's 67, 40, no, 50 years later, could it be? I
Yep.
can't even do the math off the top of my head. I'm playing, I'm on par with these guys. I mean, the term sideman is so, it gets a negative connotation, but the fact that I am a sideman, if I was the lead singer, let's say, or the sax player in my band, only my band, I would never have had the opportunity to have met
Oh yeah,
all these. I mean, just Ringo's all-star band. I say just. I mean, the fact that I'm Ringo's musical director, I've gotten to meet and play with and called people like Jack Bruce from Cream, Billy Preston, uh, Peter Frampton, Mark Farner from Grand Funk Rail. These are my friends. Or they unfortunately so many have passed.
yeah.
But thanks to me being a sideman, it's allowed me the opportunity to really get in there and play with the. I've have been playing with my absolute idols. People like
I'm sure.
1967, I think was like the most fertile year in rock and roll. Fast forward 30, 40 years, here I am playing on stage
Playing.
with these guys. And
Yep.
I jokingly say that I was ready to be Ringo Starr's musical director when I was 18 because I'd already played all these songs. I was ready and I knew them. So, but
Yeah.
it's a joy.
That was one of my favorite songs because I don't expect you to remember, but back in 1999, I got to go backstage at a Billy show when you guys were playing here at the Target Center in Minnesota, and they'd actually give me a pass to meet Billy. And I was standing in the hall, and here you come walking down, and I get all mumble jumble and cotton mouth. I'm like, "Oh, hi, Mr. Rivera, you excited for the show?" And I'll
Oh,
never forget.
that
And
that was you. That was you, dude. I
no, no.
remember.
I just remember the classic line was, "Mr. Rivera, that's my father. Call
Yeah,
me
yeah.
Mark." So,
Oh, well, you know, it's so true because and people say, "Would you mind taking a photograph or it?" And I'd
oh
say,
yeah,
"I would mind when that
when it
stops
quits.
because
Yep.
that's my life, that's my livelihood. In fact, that's my oxygen.
Yeah.
That is my oxygen. The interaction with the fans. I think the most important thing a person in the entertainment business has to realize: you are an entertainer. If you're a comedian, make me laugh. If you're a musician, make the music mean something to me. And that
Yep.
gets back to Billy. People are constantly saying a Billy Joel song. It's like a 3 minute snapshot of a part of my life,
Oh
and they're
yeah.
right. And they're. I mean, to this day, he's played Piano Man how many 10,000 times, whatever it is. But every night, especially since COVID, and especially the state of affairs with humanity, let's say, when it comes to that line, because you know that it's me they've been coming to see to forget about life for all. It couldn't be more poignant. It could be more
Yep.
prophetic that he wrote that in 73,
Like,
4.
way
I
back
can't.
then, yeah.
Yeah,
Came out in
and
'73. Yeah.
okay, so he wrote that, and he was playing piano at a piano bar like 71, 72, let's say. So all this time later, it's kind of like Miami 2017. Here we are thinking, and all of a sudden the Twin Towers.
Yep. Yep.
It's these. There are certain songs that just blow my mind, and I mean another part in the book when we talk about the first tour I did in '82, and we're in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and these people, I remember I had the pipe and I raised the pipe at the end of the night and they said, that's right. We're Pennsylvania. We bang steel. That's just who we are. And it's a working class band that Billy, when I joined Billy's band, first of all, like I said, foreign tours, 80,000 people playing at these huge stadiums. Then I got to Billy's tour and it was the Nylon Curtain wasn't received as a stranger, let's say, but it
No.
was such an amazing record. Think it's my favorite Billy album, I have to say. I love that and Innocent Man because of how much participation. But we'd be playing these. No, it's true. We'd be playing these gigs, and when I first joined the band, I remember feeling I joined a family. Liberty was like incredibly engaged. He and I became so close. In
Oh.
fact, our youngest son Moreo, his middle name is Liberty, Moreo Liberty
Oh,
Rivera, and
jeez.
that's not an accident. So that's the kind of the connectivity. David Brown and I played in a bunch of bands together. In fact, David Brown played the demos on the band that became Tycoon, and that band is how I met Mutt Lang, and that man Mutt Lang is how I met Foreigner, and Foreigner's how I got. It's just this huge circle or cycle that goes on. And I always say that thing we need to do in our with our lives is, we throw pebbles in the water, and these ripples form. And it's our job to allow the universe to do its thing without us screwing it up, because
Yeah.
John Lennon said, life is what happens while we're busy making plans.
Yep.
And it's so very true. The fact that I guess the fact that I haven't screwed it up to this point, and there's also a point when I was not asked back for one tour, but I came to reflect on that, and I took full responsibility for why I was let go. Lo and behold, about 3 or 4 months later, Tommy Burns calls me up and says, "Hey, by the way, Billy wants to know if you could play with Richie." And I said, "By the grace of God, here I am." And
That's awesome.
I never take it for granted, Mike. I never take it for granted, and I never phone in a gig. That's for sure.
That's
So,
awesome. Yeah. One of the funnier stories I remember from the book was you guys were overseas on a tour, and you had to play an impromptu gig at the Vatican.
no, that wasn't. You're being very kind. That's a very good way of framing this, Mike. Uh, we were in France, in Nice, at the very fancy Negresco Hotel, and as it turns out, that's where I proposed to my wife.
Oh,
It's the day before this incident happened, and so Bobby Mayo, may he rest in peace. Bobby is one of no, he is the greatest musician I've ever played with, and I miss him every day. There's pictures of him throughout the house, and but he and I, the tour manager Alex King, came in and said, What kind of dog is that?"
oh, sorry. It's a
No worries. I
Shetland
love,
sheepdog.
I love big dog.
No, no, it's like a miniature collie.
Okay, because sheepdogs are usually large. Anyway, we'll go back to the story. I'm
Sorry.
sorry. No need to. I love dogs. I love dogs. And so now Bobby, we were in Mick Jones's suite because he had left to go visit his girlfriend at the time, Ann Jones, who is now his wife again. Anyway, so we're in the hotel suite, and it's about 2 in the morning, and Alex King, the tour manager, comes and says, "Bobby and Mark," and we're thinking, "Oh crap, what did we do wrong?" He goes, "Would you two consider leaving on an earlier flight because two of the wives want to join us?" No problem. So Bobby and I scoot out. We're there in Rome now at about probably got to the hotel by 11 o'clock. So Bobby and I look at each other, and he saw a sign that said Vespa mopeds, and we're like, what better way to see Rome than on a moped with my buddy? So we're going around. As it turns out, there was a whole altercation that I'll let you read the book if you get the book, how it happened and what happened. But at the end of the night, getting to your impromptu Vatican gig, Bobby and I had been all over the city throughout the day, and now it's about midnight. So we'd already done the circle. There's the perimeter of the Vatican's got this beautiful circle. So now it's like I said, about close to midnight, and we just on the Vespas get back in the Vatican, and we circle once, circle twice, and we're just tripping around. Life is great. All of a sudden, two armed guards with Uzis, passport, passport. I'm like, uh, uh, of course we didn't have our passports because we're idiots. We drive
Yeah.
around the whole. So now I look at the guy, musica, passaporto. No, no passport. Foreigner. I've been waiting for a girl. And I sing, and Bobby sings the next line, to come into my life. I've been waiting. And then go, oh, musica for the girl like you come into. Oh, okay. Had it not been for that moment, had it not been for the popularity of that song, I might not have made the show the next day. But that was one of the funniest stories, and it's with my dearest friend ever in this crazy business, and he's gone too soon.
Oh,
I love Bobby so much. The other side of the book that I that I look at and reflect, how many of the friends and how many of the musicians that I've worked with are no longer with us, and that's the hardest part to have come to
yeah.
terms with. And it's a lot, but again, by the grace of God, go I. So that's where we are.
Yeah. Well, when you're in it for so long and you meet so many people, that's bound to happen. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's sad. Music's phasing out. Um, One of the other stories, this is more of a Billy Joel related one. Since you mentioned David Brown,
Oh
you
yeah.
talked about how you auditioned to be in the band with Billy. Did you want to talk about that at
Oh
all?
sure, I'd love to.
Out at my
Yeah.
father's place,
Yeah, out in Long Island, in Roslyn, Long Island.
Roslyn.
David and I had played with a bunch of different bands. In fact, the band that we were playing in at the time, in like '82, was called the Late Boys because we could never show up on time. It was a wonderful band, just a great band. Michael Braun, the drummer, who up until recently was playing with Hall and Oates for like 20 years, but it was just a bunch of guys. We'd done a bunch of sessions together, and so we had a gig out in Long Island, and I didn't know this, but at the time, Billy and Richie were parting ways. So I just did the gig and went well. Met Richie briefly, and then went on. We played the gig another time, and the second time I was introduced to Doug Stegmeyer, and they said, "Come out to the house." So I go out there with my sax, my alto, and I knew he wanted to hear "Just the Way You Are." He wanted to just hear if I had a decent tone to even present it, whether or not Billy wanted to meet me.
Okay.
So get out there, get out to his stop. I think I don't know if it was Huntington or wherever he was, Hicksville. He meets me. It was totally chill. We go have a slice of pizza. We go down to a studio in the basement, and I play "Just the Way You Are." He goes, "Oh, you sound good. Here, take these 3 cassettes, learn these songs, and we'll see how it goes." Now, mind you, up until that point, I was never, I won't say I wasn't a Billy Joel fan, but I never bought Billy Joel records. I was still into Hendrix, Cream, and hey, I'm being honest. And I tell him the same story. And you know what he'd say? I wouldn't buy that crap either. But no, but what happened was, as I got The Stranger, Turnstiles, and I can't remember the third album they gave me to learn 3 songs. It was Only the Good Die Young, not Say Goodbye to Hollywood, Only the Good
What
Die Young.
scenes? I
See, well,
can't
no,
remember.
it was Just the Way You Are, Only the Good Die Young, and the third song I can't remember now.
Okay.
But anyway, so I went home. The thing I'm trying to bring out, though, as I wasn't a big Billy fan at the time, I'd
Had to
never really
learn 'em.
paid attention to. I'd never really gotten into his compositions. So now I'm listening to the songs, but I'm getting past just the 3 songs, and I'm listening to like the really inside stuff. Like, wow, this is what all my friends are talking about. Not like,
Oh,
no, I'm serious. It was like, because up until that time, the one song from Captain Jack, I said, "You just sit at home and masturbate." I'm like, who wants to hear that crap? Who wants to hear that? And I was thinking, oh, that's not my style. But all of a sudden, I'm listening to songs that really mattered. Uh, um, I can't think anything off of The Stranger. It's beautiful pieces of music.
yeah.
And I'm saying that's what it's kind of like when people say, "Oh, wait till you become a grandfather." Yeah, sure, sure, sure. And all of a sudden you have a
Oh,
grandson. Like that's what they were talking about. So my point is, I finally got to figure it out. So we get to the rehearsal, get to the audition, and we did "Only the Good Die Young," and the second song I can't remember what it was, but the third song was "Just the Way You Are." So now I'm playing ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba-da, ba-da-ba-da-da-da, play the sax solo, and he stops the band. I'm like, oh crap, did I screw it up? And he walks up to me and goes, he leans down, he leans up, he kind of pulls me down, he gives me a kiss on the cheek. He said, "As long as you want a gig in my band, you got it." And he's kept his word. And apparently I've kept mine because I'm still in the band 41 years later. So
I suppose.
it's
Yeah.
exactly how it happened. It's exactly how it
Wow.
happened.
I bet
And,
he's
and
kind of short, so I suppose he did have to pull you down.
Well, no, he just gestured. He gave me a kiss on the cheek. But I mean, from that first moment, playing with Liberty and Doug, were a tremendous rhythm section. And
Yep.
again, Doug's gone. I mean, that's
Ugh,
so sad.
yeah.
Um, Russell Javers, who's incredibly funny, and David Brown, who's an amazing guitarist. We had this band and Billy. I mean, this was. I've never been. It felt like even to this day, as the band has gone through iterations, this is the greatest bar band I've ever been in. Because with Tommy Burns and the current lineup, Mike Del Giudice, we could play and sing anything. Crystal, the talent level in this band is insane.
Oh, cool.
So it's true. but that first meeting and that first band, people say, "Oh, uh, Chuck replaced Liv and you replaced Richie," and I would say, "No, I did not replace Richie. I still play Richie solos. I
Yep.
honor the parts, and Chuck is playing, doing a great job. But no one could ever be what Liberty DeVito was, and still, in my opinion, still
Yeah.
is to Billy's music. I mean, I'd be remiss to not say how much he means to me. And unfortunately, we're still going through some stuff. He won't speak to me right now, but
Oh,
it's terrible. It's just terrible. But anyway, someday, my mom used to say, "This too shall pass." So hopefully there'll be a time when we can get back together and just, if nothing more, share a stage together. That
that'd be
would warm my
great.
heart. Yes, indeed.
Oh, guys. Well, coming to close it, we're getting near what was at the end of the book. It was a nice night. I like how you ended it with a story about Ringo, and I think it was at Radio City Music Hall.
Oh
You
yeah, it
guys
was
were doing
Paul.
a show, and you got to the pleasure of telling Ringo how to play his own music because he was playing it wrong.
Well, that was I did that a couple of times, but the night that I think you're talking about was for his 70th birthday,
Yep.
and was Paul.
Oh, it's Paul. Okay.
Paul. So Joe Walsh calls me up. He says, "Hey, Mark, Paul wants to sing birthday for Ringo's 70th birthday. You know Paul?" I said, "Yeah, I know Paul. What do you want? Yeah." So we're going to rehearse the day of the show. It was his birthday, July 7th, 2010. That was his 70th birthday. So we get there at Radio City. It's Paul McCartney, Joe Walsh, Rick Derringer, Edgar Winter, yeah, couple pretty good players, and Greg Bizinet, who's tremendous drummer,
And Mark Rivera.
and me and Mark Rivera. So it's my job to run the band. So we do the song, and everybody's like, "Just let's get through this. Just let's get through it." It's Paul. We doesn't have a lot of time here. So we finish the first pass, and everyone's like, "Yeah, they're like raising their like they just won the Super Bowl." I said, "That was great, guys, but Paul, by the way, the bass part you still have to play." It goes do 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 do. So he stopped in between. He goes, "Oh, that's right." He goes, "Excuse me." He said, "I haven't played that song for about 7 or 8 years." So he says, he said, "Could we run it again?" I said, "Sure, thank you." So we run it through the second time, and sure enough, he plays it perfectly. But the part was 7, 8, da da da. Yes, we're going to a party. Yes, we're going. He came in two measures early. So at the end of the second pass, everyone's like, "We got through it," and they look over like, "Shut up, Mark! Don't say anything," because they're all thinking all I got to do is say one more stupid thing, and we're all going to
Yeah.
get fired. So I said, "That was great, but Paul, the second time we did it, you came in two measures early on it.
Oh, you
Yes, we're
can keep your
going
mouth
to."
shut.
And he said, "Oh right, mate. You know what? We'll do it one more time." He took it upon himself. "We'll do it one more time. This time I'll play bass and you sing it, and I'll sort it out." So now the
Nice.
third time we're doing birthday. Paul McCartney's playing bass. Paul McCartney's basically my bass player while I'm singing his song. It's like totally surreal. And as it turns out, that night, um, if you see a video, just before the two measures, yes, we're going to. He looks over to his left, and there I am. And one more quick story about that night. Jeff Jonas, Ringo's drum tech, one of the greatest you'll ever run across. At the end of the night, because a lot of times people would run up on stage and think they're going to play drums with this band with Paul McCartney on bass. I said, "Jeff," I gave him the sticks. I said, "I don't care who comes up here. The only person to get these two sticks is Ringo. Do you understand?" He goes, "Absolutely." In other words, I don't want anybody coming up here and just playing. We had Paul McCartney and this band. The only guy who's going to play second drums was going to be Ringo. And sure
Nice.
enough, he comes up there and he's looking for sticks, and Jeff Jonas hands him the sticks, and I'm like, "There is a God." It's just crazy how that happened. But that was, and Paul couldn't have been more gracious. And at the time, this is just really crazy. At the time, there was a a tour of Radio City Music Hall going on. So there are about 20 people, and they're being shown this and that, and you could see people's faces like. And he said, "Yes, it's me, and thank you to this small but very enthusiastic crowd." It was because they went nuts. We played birthday, and they got to hear Paul McCartney run through in the afternoon. It was a totally surreal moment, and one that just the fact that Joe Walsh, a friend, knew that he could trust me to put the band together is it speaks volumes because one of my and I tell Billy this all the time. The greatest thrill that I have, I love being Billy's saxophone vocal. I love being in Billy's band, but to play with Ringo in all these years, he goes, I know. In fact, one time, a story that's not in the book, um, Ringo had already put a tour together. It was like a 6-week tour, and Billy decided to put like 3 gigs in Europe together. So I had to
Pick
tell
one, yeah.
Billy. I said, Billy, I've already committed to Ringo. I have a 6-week tour with Ringo. And he went like this: Billy Joel, Ringo Starr, Billy Joel. You know what he said? You got to go with Ringo. And that
Yeah.
was it. That was it. But that's, again, that's the guy Billy is. He gets it. And we had a gentleman, Andy Snitch, that played sax, tremendous sax player. He took the 3 gigs. And from that point on, Billy said, let's keep this band going as we are. And it's been going on now. It's that's like there was the 2013 is when I was at the last tour I was able to do with
Yep.
Ringo. So it's 10 years, and the Garden
Yep.
Run is already 9 years old.
Yeah,
So
right.
yeah. I remember when they asked Billy, "Well, how long do you think this will last?" He goes, "As long as there's butts and seats, I'll keep selling tickets." And
He
how many
expected it to
shows
just go a couple years and then have
at
die
the outs
down
at
and
at the outside a couple of years? I mean, who'd have thunk
yeah.
that 9 years in? And I'm telling you, you see it, Mike. The crowd is crazy every night. It's packed. And if I'll tell you, if you get the opportunity to see a show and you don't go, shame on you because you would have missed. I'm telling you,
Yep.
in New York City at Madison Square Garden, like I said, the quintessential New Yorker playing at, to me, Mecca as far as everybody in the world. I don't care if you played Wembley Stadium here. Someday I'm going to play Madison Square Garden. Oh, someday I'll play the Garden. The Garden is like this hallowed ground,
Yep.
and we call it the Madison Square Dinner Theater because we're there like a house band. And the sound again, I give kudos to Brian Ruggles and Steve Cohn. We have that room so dialed in, and it's such an honor to go up there. You have no sense of, oh, what's it going to sound like? It's going to sound great as long as you do your part, and it's
Yep.
going to be great. So it's an amazing I don't even it's an amazing job. It's just an honor. It's just such an
It's
honor
a
to do it
way
every
of
night.
life. There you
It's a
go.
way of life, absolutely, Mike.
Oh, I'm so glad you took the time to come and talk with us. In this book, remember, we got Sideman here, Mark Rivera. We talked about giving away some copies.
I would
I
love that.
talked.
I would
Okay.
love that, Mike. In fact, I'll give away. I will sign personalized. If we could do some kind of a thing, a drawing. I have 10 books, maybe a couple more, depending upon. Let's do whatever we
Okay.
have to do.
All right.
So,
Well,
how do you want to do this?
I thought a good way to be, this video gets posted in the group. Just if you want to enter a drawing, guys, just go ahead and click like or one of the reactions. Hopefully not the angry reaction, but whatever you want. And yeah, right, for 20, and then you win a book. For 24 hours, I'll leave it up, and then I'll write all the names down, put them in slips. I'll draw out 10 names, and those will be the winners. You'll get personalized. Talk about personalized. It's not just Mark Rivera, peace sign. It's check that this was. He went ahead and hey, Mike, hey, how you doing? Yeah, so it's personalized. It's he takes his time and puts effort into it. So we'll do that, and then also I want to tell you guys with if you want to order the book, go ahead, markriverabook at gmail.com. You said You said selling the books for $30 and they get the personalized autograph and then $5 extra for postage and handling. So for 35
Absolutely.
bucks, get your copy. Get your copy direct from Mark's hand. Get your copy. Get your copy direct from Mark's hand that he wrote in. Maybe rubbed it all over. Promise to rub them all over your face.
Got some DNA going on and everything. You could clone me from the book.
Make it worth your while. Post in the when I post the video, I'll post
Great.
or when the video comes out and put in information. We'll do the book giveaway for 10 copies. If you go and happen to order a copy of the book and then we end up drawing your name, we'll make sure you get a refund so the book is truly free.
I'll reimburse it. Otherwise, I'll sign one for your sister or
there
your
you go.
mom,
Get 2 copies.
But again, it's Mark Rivera book at gmail.com, correct?
Right. Mark Rivera book at gmail.com. Rivera book at gmail.com.
And
I'll
one
put
more
that.
One more thing, Mike. I would love to do this if we could ever do this again going forward. If any fans actually liked what they heard today, I'd love to come back and do like a Q&A, a little roundtable, because this has been a lot of fun. And I know the fans have questions, and there's a lot of Billy Joel fans. And now I'm one as well. So, no, but seriously, I would love to get on and if you take, I don't know if you take questions or if you do a live stream.
Yeah, it does it live, and people we can encourage people to post questions or get ready beforehand and tell them when we're going to do it, and we'll make it work. Yeah. I'll make it work because that's awesome.
Well, the important thing is I have a lot of stories, and some of them are true. But no, but frankly, I would love to share the stories. And Mike, I can't thank to the fans, especially today where I'm supposed to be in the city. By now, I should be putting my horn together for the sound check. So thank you for this opportunity. And we will continue to do this. And I don't know what cities the people are in, but the Billy Joel and Stevie Nicks tour is insane. The first show we did was mind-boggling. And when Billy came out, like sneaking out, and he sang "Stop Dragging My Heart Around." I mean, Stevie had already done like 3 songs, and Billy came out with the microphone. The place erupted. It was crazy, and
awesome.
It's just such a great opportunity. Again, I'm so enthusiastic about this tour, about everything we do. But if you get a chance, depending upon what city you're in, try to get to the show. It's mammoth. It's great. And Mike, thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm serious.
No problem. Well, thank you for offering up some free copies for me. You told me when we were talking before, you just want to get the story out there. You want people to know it's not an easy job. It takes a lot of effort, but it's been such a wonderful story listening to you guys and all the stuff you've done throughout your career. So I thank you so much for doing this with me.
My absolute pleasure, Mike. And to all the fans, peace and love. We are nothing without you. Absolutely. It's like, why do you do it? You do it because of it's oxygen.
Yeah.
I'm breathing it, and I'm so grateful. I am so genuinely grateful. Thank you so much for having me. Peace and love.
Thanks. See you later, Mark.
God willing.
All right. and remember, if you haven't heard Billy Joel till you've heard Billy Joel completely retold. We'll see you guys later.